Hello and welcome to this special edition of Screen Masters with me, Bav.
And me, Fluff.
And today we're bringing you this lovely special, hopefully shorter episode.
We'll try.
We're going to try and keep this sub 20 minutes, guys, okay? So see how we get on. Okay. We are bringing you this special episode to tie in with the launch of Disney Plus in the UK with our thoughts and feelings on The Mandalorian Season 1. So, it's a TV one, so I'm going to let you lead, and I have none of my normal associated notes to go with it, so let's just go for it.
Okay.
Take us through The Mandalorian.
So, The Mandalorian. So, this was a series which popped up a couple of years ago, announcements, etc. made. This was going to be the first live-action Star Wars series. Obviously, there have been other ones in the works. The Star Wars Underground, I think it was called.
Yeah, something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah. But this is the first one that actually came to fruition. So, we'll just quickly run through some of the cast members before we just get into the nitty-gritty of the actual thing. So, Pedro Pascal was cast as the Mandalorian. Now, people may have seen him from Game of Thrones, and he was also in...
You just reminded me.
What?
Oh, I'd forgotten about him in Game of Thrones. I hated that bit. I really didn't want him to get his head crushed.
Oh, okay. Are we going to go down that avenue?
No, it's fine. You've it totally hadn't popped into my head that it was the mountain and the viper?
Yeah, the viper.
I'm going to say the viper, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, carry on.
That's fine.
I like Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, that's fine. He was also in Narcos, which was a Netflix series as well. Fantastic in that. So, again, you know, as somebody who has spent, I'd say, 99.9% of the entirety of the series with a mask on... That's saying something. As an actor, that you're quite happy with having your face covered for the entirety of it.
We're looking at you, Tobey Maguire, in Spider-Man 3, the one where he takes his mask off all the fucking time. I think I subtitled it the one where the mask doesn't matter at the time.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, we're looking at you.
We've got other people in here as well. We've got Korga, I think his name is. Best way of trying to pronounce it is Carl Weathers. Again, I was just like, Carl Weathers in this? Really? Wow, he's actually very good at this. And this is it.
He's kind of the would he be the chief bounty hunter, or he's the head of the guild, isn't he, in some way? Or that faction of the guild.
Yeah, it's kind of the overseer.
And he dishes out the missions, doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly. We've got Gina Carano as Cara Dune, who we both thought was absolutely fantastic.
I've said many times on our podcast how much I like Gina Carano and what I want her to do in the future. Please, just come and wrestle for a little bit. I think you'd be really good. I
think with the success of this show and how she's done...
No, forget about the success of this show. Come and wrestle a little bit.
We've got Nick Nolte as Kuiil.
I'm glad you wrote that down, mate, because bloody hell, I wouldn't even know how to say that written down.
I'm guessing that's April. I mean, it's been a few weeks since I've last seen it. And we've also got Giancarlo Esposito as Moff Gideon, who doesn't really arrive until a lot later in the season. However, still a huge thing for him. So, let's... I just want to mention the cameos and stuff while we're on cast. We've got Taika Waititi as IG-11, isn't he, at the beginning and then towards the end as well, when he comes back. There's cameos of the directors. So Margaret Chow directs some of the episodes. Dave Filoni,
thank you, and one other. And three of them appear as X-Wing pilots at one point, which I just think is a really cool
it was
Easter eggy type bit that they put in. Who's the other voice? Then there's Stormtroopers, Jason Sudeikis, and you had his name earlier. Adam Pally, something like that.
I don't like either of them as actors.
No, nor do I, but I mention them because I will mention the sequence they're in when we get there in a bit. The cast... It's incredible, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I suppose it shows in the modern day the pull that Disney have.
It is. I mean, it's something that I was going to touch on in one of our previous ones, like the Star Wars one, about how every celebrity in this day and age wants to be part of Star Wars. They want to have their scene in Star Wars.
We didn't even mention Daniel Craig being a stormtrooper in episode 7. Because the good lady teacher didn't know that. Yeah. I was like, that's Daniel Craig.
Apparently Prince William and Prince Harry may be in there as well.
Christ. Why not?
Like Ellie Goulding got a bit upset because apparently her part got cut out, and I'm like, why the fuck does she need to be in it? But this is it. It's like, don't just because you're pals with people doesn't mean you have to be in the bloody film. Although Dominic Monaghan won a bet against J.J. Abrams, hence the reason he's in episode 9.
Nice.
That's the only reason. He had a bet. I think it was on a World Cup or something like that, and yeah, he won the bet. So that's the reason.
I love that they're still buddies as well from Lost, presumably.
Yeah, presumably. Right. So the series basically begins where we're introduced to the Mandalorian, who is a bounty hunter, and he's out there getting a bounty at this moment in time. And we're just introduced to him, very silent individual, kind of, clearly has a code that he's following, and, takes his prize and takes it back and goes to see Carl Weathers, who gives him this new mission: find this package, find this individual, and pick it up. So that's it. So he's now...
Well, the asset.
The asset,
isn't it?
The asset as...
You need to go and retrieve the asset. But it's all a bit weird, isn't it? Because everyone else seems to know about this job, but no one's ever actually taken it. And why has no one taken it? Because the reward for it is incredible by the sounds of it. So,
Yeah, so he introduces him to, some former, stormtroopers and former Imperial people. That's going to come important later on. And so basically, he's charged with going off and finding the asset. So he teams up with IG-11, who is just fantastic, is basically the ultimate killing machine. Now, maybe a little bit OP'd, so that's overpowered, but I think we just make allowances for that because it's a droid. It's supposed to be a hunting, killing robot. So
absolutely, that's the way it's programmed, isn't it? And if you're a droid, you can take far more punishment from blaster fire and stuff like that. Exactly. So it stands to reason he would be hard as nails. Yeah.
So the Mandalorian and IG-11 come across the package, the asset finally, and the final shot of the first episode, it's revealed to be a baby, the same species as Yoda.
Which we will refer to for the rest of the time as Baby Yoda, even though we are well aware it is not Baby Yoda.
Yes.
But because we don't know the species yet, that is the name that everyone has taken for it, and correct. So that's fine. So it's Baby Yoda, even though it's not, and we're all aware of that.
Yeah.
We have no other name for it at this point because we still don't know the species. So.
No. So we'll hopefully the child will get a name.
Come, isn't it?
The child will get a name at some point.
That's fine. You don't need to tell me straight away. No. Because the crux of the season wasn't the asset itself. No. It was what was happening around the asset. Yeah. The asset was just the hook for the plot.
So we've got, moving from episode 1 to 2, so, he's now, the Mandalorian is, after this, now in need of repairing his ship.
We should say, at the end of the episode 1, when they get the Baby Yoda, there's IG-11 and the Mandalorian, and IG-11 is going to kill the asset because that's what he's been told to do.
Correct.
Mando doesn't want to because...
he's been told to bring it in.
He's been told to bring it in, exactly, and it's a bit. But in the scene where he's told that, you see that the scientist clearly wants one thing, but the actual guy giving him the job wants something very different. Yeah. And so there is definitely interplay there between what people actually want. So he shoots IG-11 and takes the asset for himself.
Yeah. So he now needs to repair his ship, and because Jawas, funnily enough, have completely ripped his ship to shreds and taken all of the parts. So this is where Kuil, who we've already kind of been introduced to, he has a conversation with the Jawas, and we realise that these aren't the Jawas which we've seen from the original Star Wars, who are just a bunch of crazy, There's actually a trade structure to them. They have their own ways. This is something we've never seen before, which I thought was fantastic, to actually give them as a species a little bit more depth. This results in him having to go on a mission for them, which obviously puts him in front of a massive beast.
Yeah.
And just as he's about to be impaled, Baby Yoda uses the Force. For the first time we suddenly see Baby Yoda use the Force, which then brings up the whole, okay, right, he's one with the Force then.
Yeah.
Which, interesting. So after this, he's now got to fit. His ship has been repaired. He's now off on his way, and he's got to drop the package off, the asset off. That's the mission.
Take it back to the client.
That's it. Take it back to the client, which is exactly what he does.
Yep.
But he breaks one of the known rules and asks, "What are you going to do with that child?" Which pretty much breaks the code for bounty hunters. Don't ask questions.
Yeah, it's like Transporter. You never look at the package.
Yeah. So he returns to his people with his reward, which turns out to be metal, which is very important to the Mandalorian culture.
Beskar steel. Beskar steel.
Beskar steel?
Beskar? I think it's Beskar steel, but yes, that's what it is.
Which is used to actually construct his armour.
And he's obviously tied in some sort of lore or mythos that we haven't quite fully explored yet. to his culture and the Mandalorian culture and their past as well, because it's that we get the Imperials stripped Mandalore of this material that was their resource on their planet during the days of the Empire. So now there is a bit of a push from Mandalorians to try and reclaim some of that for their culture and for their home.
And that's kind of why he does the job in the first place, because he sees the amount of stuff
that he's being offered.
But that said, his conscience and his guilt gets the better of him, and so he decides to rescue the child instead. In the ensuing battle, all other Mandalorians who were around come to his aid because, as they quote, "This is the way."
Yes.
A beautiful thing, because they basically, this culture is very, very respectful of one another. They, will back each other up, and that is something which is absolutely fantastic at this point. So Mando, I'll call him Mando at this point.
Yeah, let's just go with
Mando.
Yeah.
So Mando at this point manages to escape with Baby Yoda, and off they go into the stars to try and get away. So the next episode we lead.
Well, that in turn turns all the bounty hunters against him.
Oh yes, yeah.
Because he's now fucked everyone over.
He's shunned from
and essentially the chase is now back on for the asset.
Correct.
And everyone, discover that everyone had a tracker for the asset.
Yeah.
They just weren't taking the job on.
Yeah.
And so now they can track the asset. And Mando's got the asset, so now he's got to, like you say, hightail it.
So he hightails it and goes to a planet where we see these villagers who are kind of being put upon by pirates or shady individuals.
Yeah.
And so they land and come across Gina Carano's character.
Yep.
Great interplay between Mando and Cara Dune straight away. They almost just want to beat the crap out of each other. And
there's obviously some history there, isn't
there?
Yeah, and
we're
not quite party to exactly what it is, but we know there's some history.
Yeah, I think it's more because she sees him as a bounty hunter, he sees her as a former...
she's a stormtrooper, isn't she? A shock trooper.
A shock... well, it was a rebel.
She's a former shock trooper.
As a result of that, there's a little bit of interplay, but one of the best memes that's probably come out of this is suddenly, Baby Yoda catching them in the middle of this fight and just walks up like... Serpent soup, and it's just a brilliant, wonderful shot. I love it. So in the end, they decide to team up to help these villagers out of their situation, thinking that this may be a place that they could settle down, that the Baby Yoda can live out a safe life, a peaceful life. But obviously, that's just not going to happen. Arrives another bounty hunter, which they dispose of quickly. But
towards the end of that episode, he's almost like, "I'm going to leave the kid here with you and them, and I'm gonna, they can chase me." And then you guys will be safe. But like you say, it doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. No.
The bounty hunter shows up at the end, and then he's on the run again.
Yeah. So he's now back off on the run again. He now lands at another port, and his ship is badly in need of repair. So we meet Amy Sedaris, who is a fantastic actress. She's one of the voices in BoJack Horseman, and I absolutely love that series, and she's fantastic in that as well. So while she is repairing his ship with her various robots and things like that, she also comes across Baby Yoda and can't believe that he's just left this baby while he's gone off to find a bounty mission so that he can effectively pay her. That obviously doesn't necessarily end well for him. He comes across somebody else who kind of wants him dead as well. But eventually, obviously, Mando persists and then returns, gives her the money, takes the baby, and off he trots on his travels. The next episode we lead is now a prison escape, and we learn a little bit more of the history of Mando. He interplays with a number of characters from his past. One of these characters is played by Clancy Brown, which you still haven't figured out.
He must be someone in prosthetics, surely.
He's the big bulking guy, and that's Clancy Brown. As soon as you hear his voice, you're like, that's Clancy Brown. You go back and rewatch it.
I didn't click it at the time. Obviously didn't pick up on it.
So this leads to a prison escape where, again, he's trying to hide Baby Yoda on his ship. He's still trying to perform this job because he needs the cash. But at the same time, he's aware that he needs to, do things a little bit differently. This episode, if anything, shows the mettle of Mando because he comes out of a number of scenarios the better. He does some awesome stuff which you just think, okay, there's a reason you're this good bounty hunter that everybody knows.
Yeah. Because he's spoken of as one of the best bounty hunters in the galaxy or something.
Exactly. Yes, everybody is in fear of him, as Carl Weathers says. So after this, he then goes back to the original planet to help Carl Weathers, who's kind of saying, look, let's use the baby as bait, and let's draw out the people that want to kill him in the first place.
Yeah.
As a result, Carl Weathers gets injured during this ensuing thing, and Baby Yoda heals him. So as we've said previously, the first time
we touched on this in
live screen. Oh,
yeah, we touched on this during our episode on the Star Wars sequel trilogy.
Correct.
And that will have been released by the time this goes out. So
okay,
it's okay.
wonderful.
That's what I was just working out. So yes, so the Force healing, and that is the episode that was moved because it was supposed to drop
on the Friday.
On the Friday when the official Rise of Skywalker would have been, but of course Rise of Skywalker actually launched on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
So they moved it to the Tuesday or Wednesday.
The Tuesday.
It was the Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I'm like I said in that episode, I'm sure they did that to try and
stop
people going nuts over if anyone was going to kick off about Force healing being a thing in Rise of the Skywalker. That you could go, well, actually, look, it was in here first, so why aren't you being vitriolic towards that? And
Yeah. So they go back to the planet with Carl Weathers on it. As I say, they have a bit of a to do. He gets healed. Suddenly changes his perspective on how to deal with Baby Yoda and what's going to transpire. So the crux of the end of the episode suddenly reveals that Moff Gideon and his set of stormtroopers suddenly appear and basically corner them in this restaurant, bar, whatever, and basically there's no way for them to get out. As a result, the next episode picks up and, as Gina Carano kind of says, I'm fighting my way out of this. She does not want to be captured. She's, dedicated to the idea she's not going to be captured. She's going to fight her way out. Obviously, Mando at this point is fearful about the Baby Yoda because he sent it off with Kuiil and he's not heard back from him. We won't say much more on that, but there's a wonderful scene which I will let you explain because you really enjoy it.
About the Stormtroopers.
Stormtroopers.
Yeah, so there's a cool sequence with Stormtroopers which I just think is a funny little aside. And they cover, we're trying not to say too much. We're trying to give you a flow of what's happening to give our review, when we sum up at the end here, but I don't want to spoil anything too much. But there is a great sequence with Stormtroopers and target practice, and just sort of demonstrating why they're so crap. And it's one of those things we've discussed before about Star Wars prequels explaining things that never needed explaining. This didn't need explaining, and I think they know it didn't need explaining, and I don't take it as a full explanation, but it does make me laugh, and it does make sense of things that you've seen over 9 films in Star Wars lore, so it is really good that they put it in there. But yeah, I think... Oh.
That was why I paused.
Yeah, no worries. Well, we definitely won't be too long on another one.
No,
so.
we're literally like a couple of minutes in.
Yeah, that's it. And I just think, Okay, you go.
So at this point they need to escape Gideon and the troopers, and along comes IG-11, great Taika Waititi,
and he's been rebuilt by Kuiil.
He's been rebuilt by Kuiil to no longer be a bounty hunter or assassin droid. He's now a nurse droid, as he likes.
Really fun,
he likes to call himself. And yeah, he's got Baby Yoda strapped in, who's wee. And I thought that was just brilliant.
Yeah.
It's what happens with them, escaping Gideon and the troopers. Again, don't want to dwell too much on that. Encouraging everybody to hopefully watch that. What I will say is that it leaves it on a fantastic note of where are we going with this? Now, I'm gonna quote something which happens within the episode when the armourer of the Mandalorians is speaking to Mando, and she says to him, "A foundling is in your care by creed until it is of age or reunited with its own kind. You are its father."
Yeah. And that is, we assume, where we're going season 2 then, for the search for his race, which again, we've not seen in Star Wars canon anywhere. So that will be very interesting to see where that goes. Yeah,
and there's also, I mentioned one final thing of the final shot of the episode where you see Moff Gideon, who has survived whatever's been transpiring, and emerges holding what looks to be a lightsaber. Now, I know a lot
Well, it's a
about
very
this.
odd-looking lightsaber.
Yes, it's referred to as the dark saber. Now, it does have a long and colourful history, of which I won't go into because you have categorically asked me not to mention
Well,
it.
yeah, because I want
that's
the series
absolutely
to tell
fine.
me now.
Yes.
Because if they're introducing it, they
Yes.
obviously have a plan to tell me about it. So I will wait to see in the show. You
Yes, but for those of you who perhaps aren't as patient as this one over here, you can find the information in the Clone Wars animated series and also on the Rebels series as well. So it does come up in there. So, I mean, this has just been a phenomenal series. Some of the lines coming out of this, Kuil's, I have spoken.
I have spoken.
I have spoken. That is going to be repeated for the next 50 years.
I think so.
Mando comes out at one point, I'm a Mandalorian. Weapons are part of my religion.
Yes, that's right.
This is the way.
Oh, yeah, this is the way,
creed
which
of
is a good
Mandalorians,
Mandalorian
and
thing, yeah.
because Mandalorian isn't a race,
It's a creed.
it's a creed.
Yeah.
There's a reason that we say that, because there may be reveals as to who Mando is and where he comes from. But again, we'd encourage you all to watch it.
Exactly. And I mean, yeah, as far as the series goes, I remember watching it and I remember talking to you off pod at that time as we were watching it, and issues and things that were coming up. And in the end, it put to bed everything that I had an issue with in the first couple of episodes. And it's just that thing, I think, of binge-watchy stuff. You get that answer straight away because you just binge the next episode to get the answer. And going back to a week-by-week thing was really weird. To be like, yeah, but what about this, and what about that, and what about this? And it's like, no, you let the whole thing play out, and then see whether you've got any questions afterwards. And yeah, because it sets itself up as what you think are sort of one and done episodes midway through. But then it all pulls back in and it all makes sense by the end. And I think it's a fantastic series. It's got the best elements of stuff like Stargate episodes that I really like. And again, like the Villagers one that you say about episode 4, that
trope
is
has
a
been used
basic
before.
sci-fi episode. I've seen that in multiple Star Treks, in multiple Stargates, in multiple probably Battlestar Galactica types, all the other sci-fi type shows. It's a standard trope of that genre. But it works. And with that spin on it that they're doing, it's brilliant.
I think as well, we've got the characters, coming out of the prison escape episode, also the one where they're repairing the ship and he leaves it with Amy Sedaris and Ming-Na Wen, I think is it her name?
Ming-Na Wen, yeah.
She appears as well, and again a bit of a question mark left. I do believe that they have set up the characters
in this.
There you go.
Yeah,
so I believe there are other characters who will factor back into the season 2. I don't think these are throwaway characters for throwaway episodes. And I think
certainly not after what we've seen. I think so. Yeah, I'm very excited for where we're going to go season 2. I know there is one. I don't know when it's. I assume it will be
released. No, it will be released in, I believe, October of this year.
Oh, really?
Because the success and the fan service to this has just been phenomenal.
The reaction, certainly from what we heard from the States anyway, at the time was very positive and overwhelmingly positive. And it's interesting, again, if you contrast this episode with the stuff we've just that we do in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, they're doing things very differently, but we're more accepting of it, because it's not our main episode Star Wars lineage that we're looking for X and Y and Z from. We're a bit more like, oh, okay, this is new, cool, let's see what you're doing here then. And I just think the fan base is a bit more open to it. I mean, they're hypocritical in some things that they
very much so.
criticise in other things, but then let off in other things.
And we are probably just as guilty.
Exactly, I'm sure we are. But yeah, I loved that show, and I cannot wait for the next season. And again, if you're listening to this, maybe you've seen it. If you haven't, go and see it. Go and find it. Disney Plus is available now in this country, we believe. So go and watch it. It's cracking. You got anything else to say?
No, that's
wrap it up.
No,
so we've hopefully kept this shorter than our normal stuff, but I'm Bav.
I'm Fluff.
And this has been a Screen Masters special.